So, hello everyone. Welcome to my presentation. Today we are going to learn how to break into organizations and how to do it with style, because why to do it if not for fun, right? So, before we start, a little disclaimer. Today I'm going to focus only on a very small portion of ways that you can get inside some high security areas. This will be RFID technology, readers and tags, but there is a lot of other ways to get inside. So if after this presentation you think about jumping to check in your RFID readers and everything, check your door locks and door latches, because there are other ways to get inside. And here on this video, you can see me at probably some 4 a.m. in some office. And on the right side, you see an RFID reader that was configured well. We couldn't get past through it during this assessment. But I found another way in, as you can see here. As you can see, I'm very proud of myself at this moment. Yeah. And as you can see, there wasn't any advanced tool in this situation. This is, what was it? Some plastic card, some hanger, and this is what got me inside. And who am I? Well, I'm Julia Zdunczyk, and I work as a junior IT security specialist at Securing in Krakow, Poland, where I mostly perform penetration tests and threat team assessments. But my real passion is exploring inaccessible places in every way. For example, the bottom of this cave that you can see here on the picture, or this server room that I totally shouldn't be in, but I've let myself in. And today, I'm going to show you how to do this kind of things. Now, this is our agenda for today. During my presentation, I have two goals. First one is to show you, give you the basic knowledge about the RFID technology, so that if you ever want to try it for yourself and you didn't have contact with it before, you will know what to do. And my second goal is to show you how attackers work. What are the signs that you can see when they try to target you and scan your card. So hopefully, you will be able to protect yourself from these kinds of attacks and behavior. Now, when I learned about the RFID technology, I stumbled upon some interesting curiosity about how was it created. So the first predecessor of RFID was created by Fermin, whom you may know because he also created a musical instrument that you can see on the right picture that you can play without using without touching it. And he was a Soviet. And well, the Soviets presented a gift to a US ambassador, which was the Great Seal. And of course, the Americans tried to check it for any kind of listening devices. But when they checked it, it didn't emit any signal. So they thought, okay, that's good. And they hung it in the office of the US ambassador. But as you can imagine, it wasn't that simple. And there was actually a listening device inside. And they didn't found it because at that point in the time, the technology wasn't known because the tag was passive. And what that means and how it is connected to RFID. Well, in RFID, we have a reader that's connected to some source of power. And this reader, through an antenna, emits an electromagnetic field. And the tags are passive, which is good for this technology because they are cheap, they don't need a battery or power, and they only are active and sending signal when they are in the presence of this electromagnetic field. And this is why the Americans didn't find the listening device. They didn't know that there is something that can emit the signal only in some certain circumstances like that. Now, RFID is everything, everywhere around us, so we can, it's widely spread. We can meet it at tracking, for example, close tracking, at contactless payments, at access control systems that we're going to talk about today. And there are also some more interesting uses. Here, on the left picture, you can see a coffee filter that has an RFID tag inside. Why? Well, to make sure that you don't buy unoriginal filters. This is one of the evil ways to use this technology. And on the right picture, you can see that RFID can be used to track even road signs. Apparently, this sign got stolen pretty often. I have totally no idea why this might happen. Well, this is how the RFID tags look inside. So we can see it's not very complicated. We have a chip and we have an antenna. That's this red wire. This is how it basically looks inside. And this is important information for us as a red teamer, so we can focus because we'll go back to this later in the presentation. We can divide RFID to two main fields. One will be high frequency and the second will be low frequency. These are the two that are interesting for us in access control systems. And for every which of them, we have different technologies. For high frequency, we have, for example, MIFARE, DESFire, HID I-class, and for low frequency, we'll have HID prox, Indala, and so on. And the form in which the tag is doesn't matter. So we can have those tags in form of cards, and it can be both high frequency and low frequency, and also in the form of tags, and that's the same. And when we go to a red team assessment, we want to discover which type of technology is used, and we have different tools for that. One of them I'm going to show you right now. So we'll switch quickly to the camera. Do you see the camera? Yeah, you see. Okay, so here I have two readers, and I have this little device that will show me at which frequency operates the reader. So look closely, because it will light up. So here I have one reader, and let's see. Yeah, you see the white light? So that tells me that this reader operates at high frequency. And here with this, it's a more interesting thing. As you can see, it lights both, because this particular reader can both with low frequency and high frequency, which can also lead to some interesting attacks on them. Okay, back to the presentation. Yeah, so now a little bit of theory. It will be quick and very easy, just to get all on the same level. So how this basically works? Well, RFID stands for radio frequency identification, and the identification part is important for us. So basically, every card has its own UID. And the reader, in simplification, has a list of UIDs valid for a particular room. So if you get to the reader with the card, the tag says it's UID, and the reader decides if it's a good UID or not for this room. Well, is it simple? Yes. But is it secure? As you can imagine, no. And it is very easy in this situation to hack these kinds of systems very quickly. Because all we have to do is to intercept this UID and tell the reader that this is our UID. And here on the video, you can see me doing exactly that. I have a Proxmark in hand. That's a device that can scan UID from a tag and act as its own UID. So here I'm putting the tag close to the Proxmark. And using the Proxmark, I'm opening the door. Once again, very happy of myself. Yeah, so that was very easy. And at this point, you may think, okay, you are telling us very simple stuff. So that probably doesn't happen in reality. But believe me, it happens very often that this is the whole security of a system, even in some very advanced organizations. So often this is only thing you have to do. Imagine a situation that you are in the office, you are an attacker, and you only have to get close to someone's card for a second to scan it and get past this door. And you may think that maybe a way to protect yourself from that is to protect your card so that no one can get close to it. But are you sure that you are able to protect your card at all the times? Because there are some situations in which we are very vulnerable. And, well, do not ask me about the circumstances of taking of this photo. Well, another thing that simplifies it even more, sometimes we have a numbers printed on tag. And this is a plain text, almost UID. So only thing we have to do is to take a photo of someone's card, and then we can decode it, like in this situation, from decimal to hexadecimal, and we have the UID that we can then clone to other card and get inside. So that's another easy way to get somewhere. Now, another of the misconfigurations I personally met in some organizations is that the UID were sequential because, well, normally they should be random. And now I have a question for you. Why they should be random? What's wrong with sequential UIDs? Does anyone have any idea what we could do? Like, imagine a situation, we get into the office, we scan the card of some guy with low privileges that can only open the front door to the office, but we want to get past through another door. Sir? What was the answer? Easy to guess? Brute force. Yeah, that's the right answer. Thank you. So what we can do is just increment this number or decrement, just brute force it. So it will go like this. We will get this UID of this employee and then try another one that's close, another one, and maybe we will get inside. And it also happened like during one of the real red team assessments. And here is also a video. By the way, disclaimer, some of the videos you're going to see today are simulated. And for others, I have permission to show you. So some of them are real. So here am I, brute forcing some UID one after another. And as you can see, after about 3 to 4 tries, I get past this door using only the one UID I had earlier. Yeah. So the manufacturers of the card finally realized that this is not a good security in their cards, so they thought of different ways to protect their cards. And that was the moment when they introduced some encryption. Here we have an example of MIFARE Classic, which uses some encryption. And the idea is that we have some memory on the card. Do not bother reading all this picture, I will explain. So we have memory on the card, and the memory is divided into different sectors. And for every sector, you have a different key. So to get the information from this particular sector, you have to have the key. And the idea is that the only valid reader can read the data from the card because the reader has the keys. But what could go wrong here in this situation? Well, everything seems fine, but well, we can use standard keys. And actually, the organizations can use standard keys. And this is also what happens very often, that we get into some building, we see that the reader seems good because it has some cryptography, and we think, okay, that's going to be hard. But then we try this one default key that's 12 times letters F, and we have all the data from all the cards, and we can get inside. So that's another situation where this often happens. And there's also another problem. Let's say, okay, there are non-default keys, everything goes well, but then, well, there may be some problems with cryptography because the MIFARE manufacturers decided to develop their own cryptographic cipher encryption. And as we all know, developing our own cryptography doesn't often end very well. And that was with this situation. They even tried to hide this algorithm. It wasn't public. And one of the principles of the cryptography is that the security of the cipher shouldn't depend on it being known or not. And when the researchers reverse engineered this cipher, it was about 2008, if I recall correctly, they found out that it was so bad that there were even theories that the cipher was made so bad like on purpose. So the developers had a backdoor in the future. I don't know if these theories are true, but I find them very interesting. But yes, we have, thanks to that, we have a very easy way to break MIFARE Classic. And now I'll try to show you this live. So hopefully it will work. Great. Now the camera. So here I have a Proxmark, that's this device that you saw earlier. And we use this during the red team assessments to communicate and to get into interaction with RFID technology. Now I have it connected via USB cable to my laptop, so I can communicate with it via command line. And as you can see here, we can send commands. For example, this one shows us the list of available commands. And we will try to get the information from this card. That's a MIFARE card. But we will check it. Let's say we don't know what the card it is, and we have very, very handy commands for it. So in a second, it should tell me that it's a MIFARE. And now what I can do is I can try to check if there are any default keys on this card. Wait. Okay. So it started checking for default keys. It found only one, but as you can see, all the other sectors have non-default keys. So we don't know what's inside, and say we want to get information from inside. And now it's a very easy thing, and I think every one of you could do that, because there are some attacks on MyFair, but you don't have to know them, because Proxmark is very convenient for us, because all we have to do is type this one command that does everything for us. Yeah, so now, as you can see, it says running strategy 1 or 2 or others in the future. And what it does, it checks one attack after another on this card. And in a second, it should found keys to all the sectors. You can see here that it already found 2 keys, and now it starts finding keys. It may take a moment, so if it will take too long, I will use the keys that I have from earlier. So the attacks that it's running are, for example, names are nested, dark nested, and so on. If you are interested, you can ask me after the presentation, and I will send you the materials about these attacks. But as you can see, it does everything for us. Now, I will stop this in this moment, because it will take a second, or not. And I will show you the data from the card using the keys that I got before the presentation. So this is the file with the card. And now we can see all the data inside the card. Now you should see it. So as you can see, these are the sectors I showed you before. The first block, the first line, is red. It's because the UID is always stored in the first block. And then in every fourth block, you also see these different colors. That's because the keys for this particular sector are stored in this block. And as you can see, here somewhere on the card, we have some secret, which is a flag, like it was earlier for the CTF, used for the CTF. But as you can see, using this simple attack and these simple commands that did everything for us, we were able to crack this card. And MyFair is very widely spread, so there is a high chance that you will meet it if you ever try to scan some card, which you should not do, because that's illegal, right? You have to have you have to have it authorized, right? Great. So this is for the first demo. And now we will try to do another demo that will be a little bit harder, but I hope it will work. So we have another problem, because let's say we have a card and a reader that uses good cryptography. For example, it may be AES or something like that. So we are not able to crack the information on the card. But the other thing that we may do is to intercept the communication between the reader and the tag and remotely communicate. Let's say the reader is in one room and the card is in another, and we have 2 people, and one will communicate with the reader, other with the card, and we will send the information between. And I will try to show you this right now, live. So for that, now I will need you to play some imagination game. So let's say that I'm right here in Stockholm, in some office, and I'm an evil attacker, and I have my reader here that I need to get past through. It protects server room. But sadly, the only person in the company I'm targeting who has the card to get past through this door is not here. This person apparently is in Krakow, Poland. But luckily, I have a friend in Krakow, Poland, who got inside the office in which this manager was, and he found out that this manager left the card on the table and went to the toilet. And because it's some hard case, he will not be there for the next 5 minutes. So we now have 5 minutes to open this door. And how will we do it? Well, here I have a phone. I will show you. And this phone is using this simple application that's called NFC Gate. And using this phone, I can do a remote relay demo. And now I would like to ask Simon, are you with me? Yes, Simon is with me, great. So now he's showing you the card that he found, that the manager left. By the way, it's really from the Krakow, Poland office, you know. Like, to be honest, I had this delivered to Krakow, and the courier delivered it just like half an hour before my presentation. So this is why you can see this demo right now. Yeah. So what we do now? Yeah. May I ask someone with the microphone so that all of you will hear the beep from the reader when it opens, because you know it happens very quickly. Yeah. Okay. So put it close to the reader. So what we will do now? Oh no, I have to turn on my server. It works great. Now, Simon, please show everyone the card that you took from the manager. So as you can see, it's a CEO's card. It's one of the well-protected cards. And now what he will do, he will turn on the reader mode on his phone. So we will act as a reader to this card. Now I will turn a tag mode. Oh no, it stopped working. Yeah, a second. Yeah, I'm in the tag mode. And now Simon will put this phone on the card when it starts working. Yeah, put it on the card. And as you can see, some communication happens. And now quickly, I put it on the reader. And you can see, yes, it opened. Yeah, so it was also very easy. So you can see here a log from a communication between the card and the reader. So here is the tag, here's the reader. They are communicating right now. So all we had to do is to act as a proxy and just send this communication over a sea, you know, a few thousand kilometers probably away. And this way we managed to open this log. So this is very, very simple. All you have to do is to install this application and set up a server. And if you want to know more, you can also ask me after this presentation. I will send you all the materials on how to do this. So thank you very much, Simon, for being here with me. Great. So now, back to the presentation. No, another thing. A question for you. What do you think? How can we prevent these kinds of attacks? Has anyone? Yeah, I have. Could you repeat? PIN code. Yeah, so that's just switching to another systems. Yeah, it might be one of them, but it would probably introduce some other problems. Do you have other ideas what we could do here? Yeah? Timing restraints. That's exactly what I thought about. So what we can do here and what happened? Well, we can put some timing restraints because, as you can imagine, this communication that was here before was pretty long. So the reader had to wait a little bit for the tag to respond because it was happening between two phones and a server over the ocean or something. So we can put a timing rules so that the tag has to be close to the reader. And this is what actually happens. Like there are these rules introduced in some systems today. And this works. Thank you. So now we go to the part of physical aspects of access card cloning. And this is the part in which I would like to tell you about what we do as a red teamers when we actually get into the assessment. And we know all the technical details, but now we have to act in a way that allows us to go to someone and scan his card in a way that he won't know that we actually did it. And now, in this part, I would like to ask an assistant. Yeah. So now, I'm giving you the card, and wait, I have to put it on camera. Yeah, so now you should see us both. No, not this way. Yeah, you see us both. I don't think. Yeah, we have to be close to each other, like right here. Great. So now, I gave her the MyFair card. Sorry, I have to use the notes for this part. And I would like you to show this card to everyone right now so you can see how it looks. If you may put it to the camera that's recording us, that's over there. Yeah. Okay, great. So now I showed the card, and this card looks exactly like this. And first thing that we want to do as a red teamers is to recognize the technology that we used. So in this case, it's very easy because you see the MyFair UID that's set on the card, but you could recognize it also by the numbers that are printed that I showed you earlier, because they are encoded in a particular way that can tell us what kind of card this is. And now, what we do as a red teamers during a red team assessment. First, we go to the observation phase, when we want to observe the employees of the company in which we are, to know what they are doing. For example, what's their behavior with the card? Where are they keeping their cards? How are they moving? And here I have a first exercise for you. Do not tell, just raise your hand. Who knows where the card is now? Okay, I have 3 people. Okay, great. So yes, the card was, one of the person who knows, could you tell? Front left pocket, like here. Yeah, that was the place in which the card was. So what we want to do as a red teamers is to watch for these kind of things, because you want to know where they have the card, so we can act on it. And the second question for you in this exercise is that I already tried to scan her card. And who knows where this happened? Where was the moment when I scanned her card? I don't believe there is no one. You should have to see this. At least one person. Okay. Oh yeah, I see one there. With the folder, great. So as you can see, this totally non-suspicious folder with the notes that I totally don't need for this presentation has a little device hidden inside. I don't know. Oh, camera. Yeah. It has this little device hidden inside. It's a very professional setup because there is a lot of tape, and the more tape you use, the more professional it is. That's the rule. So what I did, some of you may have seen it, some of you may not. When I gave her the card, I asked her to show the card to the camera that's recording us for the stream. And I did something like that. Please show this card to the camera. It was like, oh, could you put your hand over there or something like that? And then when you told that she has it in the front left pocket, I got close to her. And this front left pocket? Yeah, see, it was this moment in which I got it close enough for it to get a read. So this is how it works. I will now plug it off. And what you can see here is that I'm using a different antenna. It's a big antenna. This is the Proxmark, by the way, and this is just a power bank. Because we can use it with different antennas, and each antenna is for a different frequency. So we have high frequency and low frequency, as I told you earlier. And when we prepare for the red team assessment, we have to choose the correct one. And for example, we can use the big antenna, which gives us more range, because like the range is always pretty small. Like with the small antenna, I usually get about this far, about 4 to 5 centimeters, and with this big antenna, it sometimes gets up to 10 centimeters of range. So we really have to get close to someone to scan his card. It can get pretty tricky in times. And this is why we are hiding these devices inside some different kinds like this paper folder. You can hide it in a cup or something like that. You can think of different ideas depending on the place that you are targeting. Also another thing that you have to be aware of, when you put it in a folder, this paper is making the distance closer, right? So you have to take it into account. So the more paper you use, like in my situation, the distance gets harder to operate with. So that was it for the demo of the scanning someone's card. And what I want to do now is I want to tell you about other steps in our red team operations. So the first step was an observation, which you saw. You were kind of red teamers when you have to observe what someone's doing, what I was doing in this case. We have another phase, that's preparation, when we prepare our equipment. For example, if I see that we can see that employees act differently in different parts of a building. For example, they may have, during a lunchtime, they may leave their cards on tables when they go for their food or something like that. And then we go to the execution phase when we put all of this together and try to scan someone's card. Another thing that I also want you to get out of this presentation after this demo is what can you expect of the attackers when they try to scan your card. So if you're at your company, by the way, how many of you uses access cards at company? Yeah, we have pretty a lot of people. So when someone tries to get very close to you and it's acting strange, that should put you off. If he or she has some different things in hands, like paper folder, but it's holding it, like trying to touch you with it, that's also a sign that something's wrong. And like the hard situation for us as a victims of these attacks is that where normally we don't behave in a way that when someone gets close to us, we will, hey, what are you doing? You know, you will just stay and think, okay, he's acting strange, but I don't want to make problems, don't want to act like bitchy or anything. And what we sometimes do, we can even go to someone that stands next to us, and we will bump right into him and say, where are you standing? But in this moment, it was the moment in which we scanned someone's card. So this may be a lot of different situations. One time my friend hacked someone out of nowhere, you know, because he had a card on his neck hanged, you know, and he hacked him with the prox mark hidden somewhere, you know, under the shirt. So there are different ways. So if someone acts very strange, this is something that you can, this is the moment where you should be aware that maybe something's happening. And now I want to show you all of these three phases on an example of a real red team assessment that happened to me and how I incorporated all of them. So first, there was an observation phase. I get into the building and I was looking for the readers just to take a photo. So I took a photo of a reader and then I checked online what kind of reader this is. So I found the name of this reader. And as you can see, it says 125 kilohertz. And this means that it's a low frequency reader. And I also found out with which types of card it operates. Then I observed that in this particular company, the employees used to leave their cards on the tables when they were on the lunchtime, and they were going for their food, or I don't know, speaking with friends from the table next to them, or they were also leaving leaving the card next to their keys. For example, they were opening doors, as you can see on this right picture, they were leaving these keys even for a few minutes. So it was very easy to get to this card and scan it or anything. And then I get into the preparation phase. So I prepared my prox mark in the same manner as you saw before. This time it was a low frequency antenna. And I hide it in this very non-suspiciously looking paper folder. As you can see, there is also a lot of tape. That's my way of operating. And what we did then, we executed our attack. And now this video is simulated, so if you recognize this place, do not go there to try to scan people's card. But it shows exactly what happened, and it looks exactly as the original video I took from the Red Team assessment to the report. So I was at this lunch area. I was looking at an employee. I saw that he sat there, and he had his card on the table. So I was pretty sure that in a moment when he will go for his food, he will leave it there. So I took the table next to him with this paper folder that you see here, and I was waiting. And the moment happened, because as you can see here, this is a very brief moment, but I think you all saw this moment. So around somewhere here, I just get passed through his table, and just for a split second, I got the read from the card. And thanks to that, I had one UID of the card from that company. It wasn't secured very well. This is the first example from my presentation that you saw, that the cards are only protected, like there is no encryption at all. That was the case. And then a day left after, I managed to get a read from another card from a lady from the cleaning service. I didn't know where she had her card, so I used a little social engineering trick, wasn't very advanced. I asked her that I lost my umbrella somewhere, and if she can go there, I lost my umbrella in this particular room. I know that this room had a reader to open, and I asked if she can go there and took this umbrella. And she, obviously at this moment, took the card out of her pocket. So I knew where she had the card, and I went after her, and she was keeping the card in her hand. So I was walking very closely behind her, and in some moment when she was, like having card in her hand, I just closed the paper folder to the card, and I had the second read. So it was very easy. And now, when I had those two reads, I realized that these UIDs are sequential because they were only about 500 numbers between them. So I thought, okay, I have two numbers. I will go and try these numbers one after another and brute force them to get as many numbers as I can. So I looked, you saw this video, I looked for a place in this company because there was a lot of cameras everywhere. So standing next to the reader with laptop and everything would be pretty suspicious under the eye of the camera. But I found one door that hadn't had camera over it. And at this point, it took me about 30 minutes. I tried different UIDs, one after another, like in this video. And it appeared that in this company, there weren't sequential like one after another, but every 3. So I got a list of about 20 to 30 UIDs that worked for this low security door. And then I thought, okay, I have to find the UID that will open me the door to the server room. The server room was under the eye of the camera, so I couldn't just stand there and brute force every number. I had to have the good one. And this is when I got lucky, because I found out that in this company, there was a printer, and you used an access card to log in to the system in this printer. And when you logged in, it showed you your name and surname. So I got all the 30 UIDs that I got from this brute force, went to this printer, and then I checked them one after another. And as you can see here, it's logging me in. And I have the name. It says Łukasz. And I got the list of the names of the employees that I had their UIDs. And then I checked them online. And I found one of them was a network administrator. And you probably all know where this is going, because I thought, okay, I have a chance with this guy. So I took his UID, put it on a card, and went to the server room. And ta-da, that was it. So, yeah, as you can see, it was like a few steps in this, let's say, cyber kill chain in this situation with this card. So we started with unprotected UIDs, and we had only one of them for a low-privileged person. Then brute force it to get a list of valid UIDs that work in this building. Then check for the names to which these UIDs are connected, and then choose the name and go for it. And it worked out in this situation, so it was pretty successful red team assessment. And now another question for you. So what do you think? What are the ways in which you could protect yourself or your organization from access card cloning? Different ways. Do you have any ideas at all? Is there someone? Yeah, I see someone. Can someone closer tell this to me so that I... Lock your card? Yeah, RFID blocking. Yeah, exactly, that's it. So you catch the first one. So as you can see, we have those protectors from RFID signal. They are even in unisex form, so that's very convenient for us and for our employees. this is a layer of security, but first we have to force all of our employees to put their cards into these holders, and then still, when they want to scan their card, when they want to put the card to the reader, they have to take it off this RFID badge. So it may work in some situation, but it doesn't protect us 100% of time. So any other ideas? What can we do? May I have someone with the microphone to walk around people so that I can hear them? There is a lot of ideas. You probably will think of ways to do this. Is there anyone? I'm not gonna give up. I will wait.
Higher security cards.
High security card. Yeah, that's one of the best ideas actually, because as you saw in these examples, and I said it quite a few times during this presentation, there is a lot of systems that are very poorly secured and that we meet on an everyday basis in different organizations. So that's actually one of the best ways to just invest in a good security system and configure it well. Yeah. Any other ideas? What could we do? Yeah?
In the swag for Volkswagen this morning, they had card jammers.
Could you repeat?
They had card jammers as part of the swag at the thing for Volkswagen, or the defense agency. It was in a sponsor room. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Card jammers.
Card demos?
Jammers.
Okay. Yeah. Other ideas? What could we do? Okay. Oh yeah, I have another idea there, in the middle.
It doesn't protect the access card cloning, but you can combine it with a PIN code.
Yeah, combine it with PIN code, that's also a good idea. So 2FA, for access cards. So if you have a high security area, like server room, you can have both a reader for access card, but also a reader for PIN code or something like that, so that only particular people can get inside. They have to have something, and they have to have some knowledge to get inside. Yeah, so this is a two-factor authentication in this case for the server rooms. Yeah, that were all good ideas. So another one is employee awareness. So that's the thing, we always say that the human is the weakest link in the chain of security, but that doesn't mean that it's a lost game. We can always try to train our employees, to tell them about this, to run some red team assessments so that they can train to be aware of this social engineering tries of the attackers. So we should always try to work with the people and give them awareness. Secure system design, that's what you said. So invest in some good readers, but also another thing, configuring them well, because it also sometimes happens that the organization buy very advanced readers that are very, very pricey, and then they leave the default keys, so there is for nothing. There is also one system, this is MyFire Desfire, that you can configure to use either AS cipher, DES cipher, or no cipher at all. And there are also situations in which people buy those readers and then leave them on the configuration that they do not use these ciphers. So they pay for encryption and do not use it. 2FA, that was another idea. So yeah, use key, PIN pads or other things. And also login. And it's also important because, as you saw in my example, I made pretty much noise. So I was brute forcing different numbers on the one reader. So if the company had a login, proper login, they would maybe see that someone is trying one UID after another in a one reader, and they would know that something's going on. Or even time restrictions on using the cards, so that, for example, why should a person from the cleaning service has 24-hour access to all the rooms in the area they are cleaning? Because it also often happens that we clone the card of, for example, person from the cleaning service, and then we have access to the building 24 hours. So time restrictions, login, and these are the ideas that we can incorporate into our security postures of our organization. And that would be all for me. So now special thanks for everyone that helped me with this presentation. As you saw, there was a lot of live demos, so I had a lot of people working with me on that. And thank you very much for everything. Do you have any questions?
So how many people brought their work pass cards to here right now? And how many people brought their cards here but are too embarrassed to raise their hands? Can I borrow your binder? And how many people are actually using some kind of shielding on their cards when they're at work? Slightly more than the people that brought them with them here. Yeah, do you find that people are actually trying to use these shields or caring about this?
Personally never met with that like in the field. I had some situations during the cybersecurity conferences when people were putting those cards in those shields, or there were some shields to win in some competitions during cybersecurity conferences, but that's the only way. So in the field, I've never met that.
I'm just curious, I mean, how often do IT security, like consultants and stuff that are out and, helping their customers, how often do they also get involved in like the physical protection of the company, and how often do they get involved in things like the pass cards? They usually,
Yeah, if the people from the security team are telling the people, like, you mean that?
Yeah, I mean, is it the same people responsible for IT security that cares about this?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the case.
All right.
Well, do you have any question? You can ask about this RFID stuff or about red team assessments. There are some things, obviously, that I can't tell you here.
Yeah,
so.
we have one.
Looks like Thomas is.
We have one question from the app or the stream, and that is, except for Proxmark, which you're mentioning a lot.
Yeah.
What tools would you recommend for someone getting into this field? Is there any other tools? Where do you start?
So, of course, there is a flipper that is very popular lately. So you can do some RFID stuff with that. Like, I didn't use it personally. I almost only use Proxmark because it's very convenient for me, but you could try to do something with Flipper. There are also other tools. There is one called Chameleon that you can also try. It's a little bit cheaper than Proxmark. The Proxmark also comes in two forms. One is original that I have here, and one is like a Chinese version that I have here. It's a little bit cheaper. And there are also a lot of tools that you can find on AliExpress or something. For example, a tool that only works with one technology. So for example, for a few bucks, we can buy a cloner for example, EM410X technology, which are low frequency cards. Yeah? So if you have a particular card that you want to clone, you can buy something cheaper only for them. So yeah, there is quite a lot of tools and also a lot of individual projects on GitHub and everything. You can actually build this on Raspberry Pi on yourself if you want, so it will be probably cheaper.
Okay, I have one more intelligent question.
Yeah.
What about all the movies that we see when they do with like 10 meters range and
Yes.
pointing antennas? Does that work
Yeah,
in reality?
actually, it's possible to get higher range. As you saw, this Proxmark is pretty small because I hide it in some places and walk around with that. But you can actually get some pretty big reader and like this, and put it in your backpack, and then you will have a bigger range. Obviously, for particular technologies, it will work. The reader has to match the cards. But I heard about people who do this. So they put a big reader in their backpack, and they are going around with this, and they have like a few meters range. And yeah, also another thing is this relay attack. Like you still have to be close to the card, but like you can be in different countries, and it will work. So in terms of distance, this is also a way. There is a question there also.
Yes, we have some more questions here from the audience. Bear with me.
I'm from France, where we have bag scanning in virtually every building. Would you think that red teaming exercises like this would fall short if people just checked your bags?
Checked your bags when you get into the building, yes?
Yes, so
Okay.
like the airport.
So this kind of security, so that to check if anyone doesn't have this listening device with them. Do I understand correctly?
Yes.
Well, it may be a way, but it's obviously a lot of work for the people from security guard, and it will also be a problem for the company to wait to check everyone getting inside the company. But obviously, in some high security buildings, there are like those kinds of way of dealing with this problem. So, well, in this case, it would be very problematic for us as red teamers, probably, but we would probably find a way to get our things inside. I've never had an assessment in which they checked every things on everyone getting inside, but hopefully I will have this challenge in the future and we will work something out with this.
Do we have any? Oh, I see a hand over here, Thomas.
Yes.
I'm curious, what are the more hardened card solutions that exist now, like the more secure card solutions?
More secure card solutions. So one of them would be MyFarthestFire that uses AS. You have to configure it well to work, but it would be okay. There are some attacks on MyFarthestFire, but well, it's we can say that it's a secure system. Another one, it's a HID CEOS. It's also a pretty secure system. I showed you the demo of remote relay. I showed you was made with the CEOS cards. So as you can see, it's vulnerable to this remote relay attack. But other than that, as far as I know, for now, there is no known way to clone a CEOS card if it's configured well. So these are the two systems that I know of. And yeah, so these are the examples.
I see a hand way down there, Thomas. Do you want to run?
Yeah, I meant HID CEOS. I told it with a Polish accent. Yeah, it's HID.
So thank you for the nice talk. My question is, how does it, this proxy mark, how does it work when you have a bundle of cards? In a pouch, for example, 4, 5, 6 cards are there.
Yeah. So it gets confused then. I tried it, and when you put different cards, sometimes it gets a read, but sometimes it just gets confused. So maybe putting your card in between many different RFID cards works almost like this RFID shield, yeah? Because the readers and the listening device will get confused in this situation as to which card to read. There is a question there also. A long way to go there.
Oh, God. I think it was a lot of brave demos in this presentation. I thought it was very nice.
I am really surprised everything worked out. Especially this one with the delivery, because from the morning I was like waiting for it. Please deliver it on time, please deliver it on time. And only like 30 minutes before the presentation, my friend called me that it is in the office in the Krakow. So
Because like everyone else is going for video, pre-recorded video presentations.
yeah.
In my question, I wanted to compare, like, if we look at chip-based cars, for example, they work on asymmetric cryptography. So if we have an elliptic curve key or maybe an RSA or something else, I can send the card a nonce and expect a valid signature from the car back. Is there anything that does this over RFID?
Could you repeat, because I think I don't
so
hear it very well here.
Yeah. If we compare the technology that is being used in RFID with
Yeah.
the traditional chip-based contact cards,
Yeah.
where you would be using asymmetric cryptography. So if I send a nonce to the card and I expect a valid signature
Yeah.
to come back, is
Yeah.
there anything that is actually using this within the RFID options that are on the market?
Yes, so how this works in RFID, for example, in this MyFair example, so there is an authentication procedure between the reader and the tag, and it works exactly as this. The tag sends some nonce, the reader adds its own nonce and encrypts it, then the reader sends this message back to the tag, the tag decrypted, checks if this is valid, and yeah, so and it works both ways. So this does it answer the question? Okay, yeah.
Any more question in this side of the room before I run back?
Here.
Okay, perfect.
It's been hard to find any statistics on actual attacks in the wild. Do you have an experience of what kind of attacks people are conducting, like real, not red team?
So I don't think I've ever met any statistics, to be honest. That would be interesting. Like I may look into it. Do you have any statistics? Okay, I will look into it, and you can write to me on LinkedIn or something, and I will try to send you this if I found anything. Do we have any other questions?
Now I see no more hands.
So one thing for me at the end, if in the future you will have any questions on you, or you are interested, or I don't know, you are too scared to ask it now, just write to me on LinkedIn. You have it here. I will gladly talk about RFID and red team assessments and everything all day, so that we can chat. So and you can catch me during the conference in the next hours or tomorrow. So don't be afraid to come and talk.
Everyone's going to send you questions now.
And also, we actually have a challenge down by the lock-picking table where you can actually hack a pad with RFID stuff. So there is a challenge there, so you can go there, borrow equipment, try some hacking yourself, I know, from one of our sponsors that actually set that up related to this. And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Julia.
Thank you very much.